Because when it comes to facing the Skull Servants, you can't live outside the bone zone. Dual sauce, extra sauce. Hit that subscribe. Hey everyone, it's Jesse from the Janjo Zone here for another dual sauce, extra sauce, talking about Blazing Vortex. I kind of talked about a little bit in my Ojama Lime video about that we're getting Ojama Pink in this upcoming set, as well as many other kind of interesting cards. A lot of Armed Dragon cards. You have an Armed Dragon card, which is the cover card of the set. But I want to make a video this time, not talking about the set as a whole, but just because we're getting a special new support monster, and that is this Skull Servant support. Wight Baking, at least what it translates to at the moment. It could be something different, you know, it could be, I don't know, something else, but I'm really excited about this because I am a big fan of Skull Servants. I love how they play. It's a very 1-2 punch kind of deck. It's very similar to Gren Maju in that sort of sense, where the whole tactic is to constantly boost up one specific monster to try and just kill the opponent as quick as possible. Wait, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, because that helps me upload more videos and know that you like content like this. I like Skull Servants because it's taken an archetype that was just a single card, arguably the worst card in the Legend of Blue Eyes, and turned into its own thing with just like, hey, let's just spam the field with this guy, because they kind of went off its flavor text to create its archetype, and that's kind of cool. So they eventually made this archetype with other Skull Servants, mainly focused around King of the Skull Servants and other white cards. Yeah, hashtag White Lives Matter. So you have all these cards you send to the graveyard, and that'll boost up your King of the Skull Servants. And for each Skull Servant in the graveyard, which they're all actively named Skull Servant while on the field or in the graveyard, to boost up the King by 1,000 points. So you can see how he increases a lot. And I love this use of tiny crappy monsters into something bigger, to something larger, into an actual deck that can actually pick up wins now and again. Now it's not quite on the level of a Gren Maju deck, but hey, it does the job. It's very spicy. It's even in speed duels. It's fun. You can play wherever. It's rated E and up. That doesn't make any sense, but you get what I'm talking about. So let's look at Wight Baking. He's pretty low level. He's not quite King of the Skull Servants level, but hey, I mean, they're all kind of weak in their own right. This guy has 3 effects, and those effects are actually pretty decent. Yeah, a lot of times I'm expecting support for cards not being that great, but once in a while they're actually pretty good. So let's read his effect. So he's a Dark Zombie, level 1, 300 attack, 200 defense. And it looks like you can use the 3rd effect of him once per turn. He has 3 effects in total. The first one is that this card's name becomes Skull Servant while it is in the graveyard. Cool, great. So that means you can use it for King of the Skull Servants. It's another target, which only means that the king will get even more buffs, more power, and I'm totally down with that. And the second effect is that if a level 3 or lower zombie monster or monsters you control will be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can discard this card instead. And that's really cool because every Skull Servant card, I believe, is at least level 3 or lower. At least I know King of Skull Servants is. I don't think there is any Skull Servant card that has over 3 stars, so this works for just about any of the Skull Servant cards. So it adds a hand protection. Not only that, if you use it with King of the Skull Servants, which is a 1-star monster, that you can protect him and at the same time boost his attack, which is great because it adds not only protection, but it's like a double protection almost, and sets you up for the next turn if you want to punch your opponent. And it's not just during your opponent's turn, it's during your turn too. So if you have something to try and protect their monsters, and you can prevent that. So that's great. And his 3rd effect is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add from your deck to your hand 2 monsters with different names that meet at least one of the criteria listed below. Then you discard 1 card, which the criteria is Skull Servant, and specifically lists the card Skull Servant in its text except for Wight Baking. So you can't add a Wight Baking to your hand. No, you can't make more apple pies, unfortunately. I'm as American as blueberry pie. So you have this card that you can send to the graveyard. So this works with its 2nd effect. This works with a card like Armageddon Knight or Foolish Burial, and then you can add 2 monsters, which is crazy. Of course, there are 2 different monsters, but hey, you know, it works out. And then you can discard a card, so you can discard another Wight Baking if you have it, or, you know, any other Skull Servant card, and it'll get a boost. It is really, really nice. You know, as a lot of utility, this is definitely going to be a staple in the Skull Servant deck. And the Skull Servant deck already is fairly consistent with its builds because it's just dumping cards in the graveyard to boost your king. You know, there's a lot of lower monster support, that kind of stuff already. So it's great because you have this hand trap that can stop destruction effects. You can boost your King of Skullvents at the same time, and it even has a search effect that's pretty generically used for just going to the graveyard. It's not discarding, it's not sent from the field, it's not destruction, it's just purely sent to the graveyard. I love its artwork too. Like, I don't know why they decided to go with just a Skull Servant that's cooking. It's a very silly artwork, I'm not gonna deny that, and it's pretty hilarious. Like, I was not expecting something like this, because if you look at all the other Skull Servant cards, or white cards, the whole deck, they're all very spooky skeleton men. Not quite this silly. So again, like Ojama, I'm interested to see if we're gonna see more support in Blazing Vortex. I'd love to see some spell and trap support, because I don't think we really have any for the Skull Servant archetype. I mean, there's Tririte, but that's not specific to them. And that also kind of defeats the purpose for King of the Skull Servant. So I'd love some sort of other sort of spell, or even like a link monster, some sort of card that's not just a monster. I get that's their whole kind of shtick is for monsters, but I feel like it could use more support otherwise to kind of get things moving a bit quicker, because Skull Servants definitely has potential, I think. They definitely have potential to creep in as another cheeky OTK deck like Gren Maju does, where you just, you know, beef a monster up to hopefully OTK your opponent. And, you know, it's fun. It goes back to the origins of the game. And I talk about Skull Servants in my Legend of Blue Eyes Top Monsters video, so check that out. Man, I should make a shirt that's just, you can't live outside the bone zone. Would you buy that? Let me know, because I'll make it if you want. I'll do it. So yeah, let me know what you think about white cooking or white baking. Are you excited for this? Are you looking forward to Skull Servants? Do you even like Skull Servants? Do you play Skull Servants? You know, let me know your thoughts, feelings, concerns, questions, etc. And yeah, feel free to chat with me further, whether it's in the comments below or on Twitter at the Janjo Zone, or my Discord at the Launch Base, or even check out my Patreon, because on my Patreon, you can support me by joining a tier that lets you let me know one discussion you want me to do per month. So if you want me to discuss something you wanna hear me talk about, that's the way to go about it. So yeah, I'm excited for Blazing Vortex. There's gonna be a lot of really fun cards. I don't plan on doing a video for every single card, but I definitely saw this and wanted to do something about it, so here it is. So of course, until then, take care and have a wonderful day.